Hi, everybody. It's great to see everyone. I'm going to do the grid view so I can see everyone's face. All right. Today we have some updates and information, but really wanted just to check in with everybody and hear from you how you're doing and what questions you might have at work. There's been so much change from the governor's office and the rules and what we can and can't do, and it's been stressful on all of us. So we want to make sure you have all the latest information. And also Karen, I think it's going to start off with some information items regarding our instructional programs. Mark, do you have anything to welcome us with and updates for this group?
No, I put out a little email telling us that we don't have to worry about our checks, that when we're returning to work, and the district is providing childcare for our employees.
Great. Yeah, so an update with that, share briefly that the governor changed his plan on schools and school programs. The latest update was August 3rd, which was just last week, basically making it not possible for school districts to serve children. However, in the guidance on California's roadmap to open, they have family-friendly practices for employers. And in this document, it does say that employers should survey employees about their childcare needs and create and provide on-site solutions, employee-sponsored if possible. So we're going with this guideline instead of the school's guideline, and are going to be able to take care of our employees' kids. And so that's why the survey went out today. The question is can we provide enrichment and learning for our students? And that conversation is happening right now with San Diego County Public Health and the governor's office. And our public health officer, Wilma Wooten, would like to say yes, but she said it's not her call. So she's going to get back to us hopefully early this week, and we'll have some updates to share. Our parents are going crazy and wondering what options they have, and it's not fair to anybody. And with that, he forced us into distance learning to begin, and I think Karen has some updates to share. So I'll stop sharing, and Karen, you want to say hello to the group and share some updates? We can't hear you yet.
Un momento. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Welcome back, or almost welcome back if you're not back yet. Yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of kind of what's different from spring to fall in terms of our instructional program, and hopefully from your perspective, regardless of your role, or maybe you're a parent and a classified association member, get some feedback or get some clarification that you may want on what we have planned for the fall. So I will share my screen. And okay, can you see it?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so we're writing up a plan. It would take us hours to get all into every detail of it, but I'm going to give you kind of an overview of what's different and what we have planned, especially coming back in days and in fall. So in spring, we're trying to call out to our staff and parents. Spring is not fall. Spring was an emergency response, and fall has much more intentional planning around student learning. So we've had time to plan. Teachers are going to be creating their lessons for their students and grading. There'll be live required interaction that came in fall. We'll be using a diagnostic to understand how students, where they are currently with their skills for ELA and math. And there'll be daily attendance for live sessions and when teachers give assignments to students. We want to improve and increase our family communication while our students are learning, even if they're not on campus with us. and that we remain, teachers remain in that support and advisory, regardless if they're elementary or middle school, and that we are kind of supporting the whole child and as well as their learning as they move forward on standards. Oops. Some words you may hear when you're on campus or if you're working with students, you're gonna hear these terms a lot this year. It's called synchronous, which means live teaching, same time. You and I, right now on the Zoom, we are synchronous. It's happening in real time. And asynchronous, the opposite. There's work or learning happening, but not live while we are with each other. If I asked you to fill out a survey after this Zoom and you're working on that, you're still working. If you're a student learning, but your teacher's not live with you. So the state's asked us to meet minimal minutes for both of those in the coming this fall. So these are some sample schedules that we worked with CVEA on. So this was agreed upon in our MOU. And some nice features. There's a lot of time for teacher planning this coming fall. And if you work at a site and you support the instructional program, depending on what your hours are, you may be involved in some of that planning to really understand what students need. We'll have advisory, and then we're gonna have big blocks of instruction. We made sure to include a snack break because we don't wanna fatigue our kids. And there's a long lunch. We recognized that many of our students are gonna be walking still to a campus to pick up their meals for the day, and that we would need time for students to get there, get their lunch, and eat before we expected them to come back onto Zoom. So you can kind of see the minutes, and then we divided them up between when you're live with your teacher and when you're working on your own. Middle school, we heard feedback from our parents. It was really important for them to see, have an exposure and FaceTime or that synchronous time with all of their teachers instead of one like we did in spring. So they'll have a more traditional middle school schedule, and they'll get all of their classes as they normally would. Our instructional model, I won't go too far into it, but back to it, rigor and relevance. We want these in all of our lessons that teachers create. We want personalized learning and social emotional learning to take place when we build lessons and units. And like I said before, there'll be an assessment. So we know exactly where you are as a student, and we will take you from where you are at and personalize learning for growth so that you're getting to the next step towards mastery. Our communications, we're excited to launch Parent Square. It's a new family communication system that will take the place of Blackboard Connect. And I know a little bit about it. The IT department is leading that work, but seems like it's very robust. Attendance is new for fall. All students are required to attend Zooms and to do their work that's assigned offline, and teachers are going to be documenting that in Zangle. And we would just want to make things easy for parents. We want their teacher to always be that primary connection for our kiddos. So I shared, let me go into the chat. That's kind of a lot, but it's just a quick overview. In the chat, I just shared a link. And it might go to David's first question. If you have comments or questions about some of the things you heard or things you just really wanted to share from your perspective from what you knew from last spring and your experience working or as a parent, you can go into the form I just shared in the chat, and we're looking for feedback, comments, questions. Did you think of this? We would just love to have feedback from all of our stakeholders. And I thank David for letting me join the classified call today. And I'm gonna stop sharing.
Any questions for Karen regarding the instructional program or our feedback?
I have a question. This is
Or do you need them in
Kristen.
text, Karen?
Oh, do you want me to text you, Karen?
David, do you want to go on with talking, or do you want to take questions now?
No, this is good. It's good. It's timely.
I think now it's great.
I'm wondering with the schedule, if that, like, is each campus responsible for fitting in the special ed minutes, or are there blocks for them? Okay, so that's all part of instruction and they just need to work that out.
And
Okay.
it changes, Kristen, too, by the age, like age level. If you're in one like kindergarten, first grade, you could almost do small groups. But yeah, we have to provide the SAI minutes in that schedule, in those learning blocks. And we also have to make sure we're providing ELD.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so how's it gonna work with CACs? So I've told that we're gonna get a schedule like we normally do throughout the year, and in those classes that we get scheduled, say I have to be with Mr. Boffman for first period, and there's like 5 IEP kids in his classroom. Are all the classes gonna be like that, or are they gonna go back to giving all of the ed specialists all the kids with IEPs? And what is the CAC's schedule gonna look like?
You'd probably have to work backwards from the site and see how they staffed, how they rostered the classes. Christina, who's leading them? And then it's almost just like you do every year. It's almost making like a mini master schedule, or who's gonna provide SAI support? Is it the ed specialist, and do they have a class? Do they not? And CACs, who's going out to support the students? So it'll be on a site-by-site basis, but within those minutes and schedules that we have to live within in fall.
Okay. Would you be willing to share your presentation? I was trying to like screenshot what the middle school one would look like, but I didn't get it in time.
And I would double check with your site on that schedule. This is the agreed upon one, but you might want to look at your site. There might be some very minor differences.
Okay.
Is that the right one? Yep, the second link on there, Christina, is the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions or feedback?
So in accordance to how CACs and all other classified, other than office staff, when on Friday, when we go back, that's when the principal will be able to answer that question, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And someone might be reaching out to you before. They might be calling meetings. They might not be. You might hear from someone on the site before. But yes, the sites will have the specific plan. But this gives you an idea of what the day looks like for the different grade levels.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm curious, for those of you that worked during the summer learning and exploration program or extended childcare, I see some faces that I know hosted students this summer and welcomed some very happy parents back to campus. We'd love to hear about your experience, what you learned, what we can gain from your experience, and what it was like engaging with students and parents and their response. Anyone wouldn't mind sharing?
I really enjoyed it.
Sarah, where did you serve and what did you do? Tell us about your experience.
Well, I'm a guidance technician at Madison, and I did the split shift from 6:30 in the morning till 9. Then I would come back at 12:15 to warm up the lunches for the kids in EDP because they were cold and frozen.
Wow.
So I would warm them up, and then I'd be back to my class at 12:50, and by luck, one of my kids was the last one picked up almost at 6.
Wow.
And well, the kids enjoyed the difference, the splits. In the morning, they were getting there since, they would start at 6:30 to 9 when the teacher would get there. And then in the afternoon, I had a lot of activities for the kids to do. We did a lot of arts and crafts. And what I did also, what I was doing with them, I was in sync with the teachers to what they were doing. The first 2 weeks was Miss Harden, and she was doing the coral reefs, the oceans. So I started showing the kids a lot of things on Netflix about the oceans, and we did a whale project. They researched the whales. They made huge posters. And then when we moved over to Mr. Saffer, he was doing a lot of the thing with the Ryosec. So I also was in sync with him. The kids were doing things and they really enjoyed it. But it was a academic, summer enrichment, but they were enriched having fun at the same time when they were with me.
Mm. Did you notice any? What
I
is
was gonna say, our kids really enjoyed it as well. We did the 6:30 to 6. Parents loved it. The only thing that we found negative at all was the lunches. You know, it could take up to an hour and a half to heat up the food every day to get the food to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the issues that we had as well was that the teachers were told to order stuff from Amazon that first week,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't get their stuff until the last few days of summer school. So a lot of them ended up having to go out and buy stuff.
Oh, wow.
And now try and reimburse. And Sharon Clay is working with me. She's wonderful, but so many of the stuff that they had to buy isn't listed on the reimbursement guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
but they wanted to be able to have stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, adding to what she said, they were supposed to have, EDP was supposed to have supplies, packets and stuff sent to us that didn't get there till almost the end of the third week. And we just jumped ahead and did our own thing.
Gotcha. Tina, as the parents came, I know that we didn't really allow them to get out of the car much, but what did you hear from parents in terms of their response of the program?
Our parents
really enjoyed it.
at Montgomery. Oh, who's going? Somebody else is talking. Okay, I'll go. The parents at Montgomery were super funny, and one mom in particular, she's a mom of 7, and she works at one of our schools in our district. I don't remember which one. But, oh, my computer's frozen. Oh, no, now it's not. Okay, so the first day that her son was enrolled, she pulls up and we do the check-in. She goes, "All right, baby, tuck and roll, get out of my car." And she was like, "I'm joking. I love my son, but he needs to interact with people other than his brothers because they're getting in mud fights every day." And so this kid comes to school and he's just wild. He is so full of energy. And I was like, you know what, student, I can't say his name. Why don't we go outside and you just sprint back and forth for as long as you want, and then we can come back in. He goes, I need to run. And so he goes out and runs, and then he goes through the rest of the week just like super chill, does all his projects. He has so much fun doing arts and crafts and everything. And it was an awesome experience as a staff member, and watching our kids have so much fun. I missed it so much. I missed being with our kids.
That's great to hear. And I'm sure the
Our
kids.
parents were also very appreciative because they didn't have to worry about where am I going to leave the kids. Some of our parents are work at retirement homes.
Oh, wow.
So where are they going to leave their kids? It's like they always counted on the school to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started with this, they jumped at the opportunity. As a matter of fact, they were asking if we were going to do this when this new school year started, because she was still going to be working, one of them asked, and where the kids could come and just be in small groups the way we had them during summer enrichment, so they could have the one-on-one with the teacher, interact with kids other than her, And, what am I going to do? Are you guys going to be offering this program? And I said, I don't know. We have to take it day by day. Call the district office and they will tell you. I'm sorry if I said that, but call the district office and they will be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
David, we have Kristen has a hand up.
Okay.
I didn't technically work the enrichment. I volunteered for enrichment because I wanted to do lessons. So I went in, I kind of co-taught, so to speak, with one of our other teachers, and we did gardening, which was amazing. And they weeded plants and they added soil, and we learned about succulents. And I taught a lesson on how to grow seeds in a CD case, and they could see the roots growing and they can see the plants growing. And it was really awesome. And some of our staff had kids on campus, which was really fun. And I just thought it was so amazing. And like you guys were saying, if we could do that and integrate that in what we're doing anyway, I mean, the kids were so resilient. They knew where they had to be. I popped into it, like kind of peeked into a couple different classes, and even the littles, like they knew where they had to sit. When you're down to like 10 or 12 kids in a class, if they're talking across to each other, it's not like 30 kids talking to across each other. So it's, it's not so bad that they, they're sitting there mute and can't say anything. So they do have a little bit of interaction. Watching them go through the hallways, they were amazing. Again, even our kinders, I mean, it was something else. I was so impressed. It was incredible to see.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, may I add something else? I had how we have to wipe down the desk, clean our area every hour on the hour. I had the alarm on my phone. So the first few days, the kids would be like, but it got to the point they would hear it and they'd clear off their desk. I didn't have to say a word anymore. And I'd walk around spraying, giving them a little towel to wipe down, and then I'd come around with the trash can to pick up the towel. But it became automatic. They would hear it and they take everything off of the desk.
Great to hear.
Kind of that, Sarah. We had one that we did, it was called circle washing. So the kids kind of got in a line with their spaces, and one would go to the sink area and put soap in their hands and just keep moving, and they'd start rubbing the soap in their hands and they'd start making a circle, then the next kid, then the next kid. And by the time they circled around, then the water would come on and they'd rinse their hands and they'd circle around and they'd get some paper towels and they'd circle around. So it was just like this little revolving group of kids that did one thing at a time at the sink area. So it wasn't bogged down. It went really quickly. It was a super cute idea. I'm not sure who came up with it, but it was awesome.
Thank you. Ed, you want to share a little bit about your visits to sites and Be Able and the things you got to see and experience?
Oh, I have been so just overjoyed meeting with students and teachers in classrooms. I mean, on Friday, I went to 10 different school sites, and Be Able seems to be a great integration. Students seem very, very happy with their learning through the technology. Teachers seem to be happy with the technology. I think there were a couple small glitches at the beginning with the rostering, but students got on. And I think even a bit of the challenge, right? They were like pushing their Lexile scores, or I want more points, so I'm going to go in deeper. And I had some teachers following me out of classrooms saying, how can I want to get more stories into the queue for my students because they're asking for more. So I think we'll have some more prizes, more awards heading into the fall at all the school sites. So we've been handing out $10 gift cards to Menchie's and Subway and In-N-Out for students whose progress has really been advancing as part of the raffle for the prizes. So it's just been great being on site. I just want to echo what I just heard, because the students seem to be following the directions, and it just seems so surprising to so many people. But the teachers are doing an incredible job, and the students following the process. They keep their distancing, they keep their masks on. You hear adults everywhere, oh, students can't keep their masks on. At least all the classes that I've been into, the students are understanding the value of being back in your classrooms and they don't want to mess it up. So they're keeping their masks on, they're keeping their spaces clean. And it couldn't be more different than what the popular sentiment seems to be about our kids. They get it. So, but that's a testament to our great teachers and setting the expectations in the classrooms, and students don't want to mess it up. They love being in school with their teachers. So I was just so impressed with what I saw, the entire process, etc. So it just on Friday, I got my temperature taken 10 times, I think. So yeah, that was,
They followed the rules.
I never had my temperature taken so many times in one day.
It's a great question. Romo, you want to ask out loud and unmute yourself?
Hi guys.
Hey.
Hi. You might hear kids' noise. I have a toddler and a newborn.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. See, he said hi. Okay. So, transportation, we're 72 employees, attendants and bus drivers. They did a great job over, after the closure when we came back in April and over summertime with the satellite food and meal delivery. What's gonna be the role now since, school sites, have their own jobs, but how about us? We're a second largest department in the district office after nutrition. So what's gonna happen?
And so you're saying that last year, Roma, between March and June, our team was engaged mostly in the meal service and distribution?
Yes. We did it, and actually, let me give you an idea how did that whole work. We're a large group, so we couldn't bring everyone in to the department, social distancing. Mm-hmm. We brought them as groups. We divide them groups of 18. So we have like standby people just in case someone called out sick or couldn't come. So they were like, we had a driver with an attendant, and then we had like bus stops every 10 to 15 minutes stopping by an area to distribute lunches for community.
Yeah.
So,
I got you. No, that's a great question. Mark, do you know if we're going to continue that this year in terms of the same style of meal distribution? I know we're still planning to serve meals for kids regardless of whether we're in school or out of school.
Yeah, I haven't heard any more about it. I'm assuming that is going to be the role because we're trying to find feasible work for everyone. So, I mean, Michelle would have had more on that than I do.
I think Michelle just came into the meeting, so
yes, came in.
Connecting.
Perfect timing.
Reacts to the question. Hey, Michelle, can you unmute yourself?
I'm here.
Hey, Roma just asked about transportation department. Are they going to be doing a similar version of last year's meal delivery?
I think for starters, Tyson and Scott and I were just talking about that the last couple of days. I'm scheduling a meeting with her right now, but at this time, that's my understanding. We're just working through some of the details.
Yeah, the challenge is just not even a month ago, we were planning to reopen school. And so everybody had an assignment, and then the shutdown is causing us all to figure out how we're going to do this. If we're
David, we're looking, oh, sorry. And we're looking for what other work there is and looking for how we can possibly give people some choice with what they're doing with their time as well.
So similar to last year?
Yes.
And if we're able to bring kids back to school, there'll be much more opportunities for a variety of different things, including direct service to students and helping them with their distance learning or supervision and other, just a variety of things. And we're hoping that we get an opportunity
soon.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, Jen.
Hi. I have a question. I've got quite a few calls today just from parents and families, and, they're all confused about, they understand the general idea and concept that we're going to go back to 100% distance learning for now, on the 19th. But I was just wondering if there's like a shortened general message that could be sent out to the families of the district, just kind of reminding them that, staff and teachers are, working hard and placing, the students in classrooms, and that more information, they will get notified by each of their sites. I know that the middle schools are a little bit different and they already have their schedules per se, but for like elementary schools, it's just quite a few calls and concerns from parents who haven't heard, from their teachers. And we try to remind them, like, today it was just constant repeating them, that in a normal COVID environment or a normal, school year, they'd typically find out, who their teacher is the day before school starts. And, so we're trying to inform them a little bit sooner than that because we have distance learning started, but, they're wanting some kind of information, and, everyone's really chomping at the bit, today and Friday. So there's a lot of calls coming in, and I was just wondering if you had plans for like a simplified message, to the families, like soon, like tomorrow or today or something. Sorry.
I've seen several emails go out from principals today about the scheduling. Karen, Michelle, do you know, are they sending out teacher assignments? I'm not familiar with what we're planning on in terms of communication.
I think it's a site-by-site basis. I saw a couple as well. Maybe I'll push something out to principals, even if they don't have all their class rosters ready, is to let a parent know this is the day we're going to send schedules. We are starting school on the 19th. Just the things we do know, and some site-by-site decisions of when they're going to be sharing information.
Yeah. Thank you. We're hoping for more information, and it seems like every time I communicate to parents that the rules change. So I'm almost gun shy to send something out today, but I will send something general that those things are coming. I'm hoping for clarification on whether or not we can open our schools to support their children so they can go to work, and that we can provide a program just like we did this summer. And my question for those that participated, and even those that didn't, the county has a waiver process that we can apply for to serve our TK through 6th grade students. That's all it will allow until we're off the watch list, which means that we have to have 3 consecutive days of 100 positive cases or less per 100,000 people in San Diego. If we're off for 3 consecutive days, then a 14-day timeline starts to reopen schools. So technically, we couldn't reopen until 17 days following being off the watch list. The waiver process would allow a 14-day application process also to bring kids back to school. We met all those conditions for the waiver in the process for opening our summer programs, in terms of having the protective gear, providing the floor markers and the signage, all the different safety procedures that we did to prepare for the reopening of the summer programs. The last piece of the waiver is consulting with our labor groups. And I'm curious to know, for those who observed, watched videos, and participated, is there anything that we need to do more to provide additional safety? Or did you feel or observe that the kids did provide or follow the rules and had the necessary procedures in place to bring kids back when we're allowed to?
I will say that we had 2 hands-on incidents where one particular student touched another kid's face at snack time when they both had their masks down, and the kid just had a talking to. And in my opinion, that kid just put coronavirus in the Buzz. I'm talking. Hold on. My dog's freaking out. Sorry. In my opinion, that's the equivalent of just like slapping germs in the other kid's face, coronavirus or not. Like there should be no tolerance of that, in my opinion. And it was my understanding that hands-on of any kind is an automatic send home because you're going against the COVID guidelines. and it
Mm.
wasn't that way. And multiple staff complained about it, and admin did not address it. They said, oh, we already talked to Dad this morning, which was before the hands-on incident, and I'm not even sure if it was brought up to Dad. So yeah, so sticking to protocols, maybe making it clear to admin that, you know, these protocols are life and death at this time, because we don't know who has what or how compromised anybody is. So reiterating protocols.
Were there rules in place and consequences listed in terms of, did the families know or have an understanding that that was the case?
Yes, there were.
Okay.
There were rules in place, and if something would happen, the child would be sent up to the office, and the admin in charge would take care of it, and then they would come back to class. But one thing that I did see was the kids would tell me, well, my mom says we're kids and we don't get COVID, so why should we have to have the mask? And they would constantly put it down or put it up. And I would tell them on at all times. And the first week was a little bit tiring, you know, because on. But then they started wearing it where I wasn't constantly on them.
Right.
But if we got the word out to the parents that the mask has to be on at all times, it would be good, because the kids coming back, and it was more than one. Our parents tell us we can't get COVID, so we don't have to be wearing the mask.
Yeah.
That was, why are you telling us that we have to be wearing the mask? And then our parents said we don't. Who do we listen to?
Right.
Science.
Okay. Well, I don't have any new information aside from that. We're still waiting for a lot of updates in terms of what we can and can't do. If we're able to get more clear procedures and probably over communicate to parents the necessity to follow these rules, it's not a matter of opinion or politics, it's just that these are the rules. In order to open school and to keep our programs open, seems like we should have a pretty solid plan. We did have one positive case of COVID at one of our programs. So for 6,500 students operating in 27 schools for 6 weeks, one cohort at one of the schools, based on a parent call, we had a symptomatic kid, and we were able to isolate the cohort and quarantine for 14 days. And because at the school, everyone was following the procedures and wearing masks, there was no outbreak, there was nothing else. So for 6 weeks of 6,500 kids in 27 schools to have one positive test that had nothing to do with the school, a parent got it somewhere else, and self-reported. And so a student was tested and we closed the cohort. That's how the contact tracing works. And so I think we proved to public health that we have done our due diligence. Mark, what are your thoughts on that in terms of public health and waiver process and where we're at?
Well, I think we're doing everything by the guidelines. So, I mean, they already said that's what we're doing should give us a waiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Kristen's question, how did families react? They were great. The principal actually, we had our first principals meeting last week, and the principal shared the process. It took a lot of time to call people and to make sure that we were following the procedures, because it was the first time anyone had to do it. But nobody complained, and everybody was really grateful. And this is just, I think, something that all school districts are going to have to deal with. But the more we adhere to the guidelines and the procedures, I think we can really limit and mitigate these cases. I think that's also the case that in our departments at the district office, we've had a couple of employees test positive who had a relative or family member and followed all the contact tracing rules and self-quarantine, and we haven't had concerns here. Everyone is wearing their face coverings, especially for in-person meetings now, and when we're walking by each other. And that's what the public health official says. She visited Chase and Bostonia on Thursday with me, and basically they said there's no distance magic bullet. So whether you're 3 feet or 6 feet or 10 feet, the key to safety is having face coverings on. Cloth face coverings really, if all people engaged are wearing them, then there really is not a lot to be concerned about in terms of spread. And so I'm not a health expert. I will just take that as truth. And so,
David, I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
We've not had even one situation in which an employee has passed COVID on to another employee.
That's great.
Not one. And very, very, very few cases, and they've all been from outside sources, not anything related to the district. So,
Yeah.
and again, that goes back to everybody's effort to practice social distancing and most importantly, wearing masks.
Yeah.
And I think that if we do that, we've proven with our own research that it can be done safely.
Great. And so maybe one final announcement is that this Friday we're having our welcome back breakfast, and we entertained the idea of having it at a big basketball stadium and sitting 6 feet apart, and that was just, given the current situation, a bad idea. So we're going to have it all virtually, but we're sending breakfasts to the sites and departments, hoping and encouraging that in multi-purpose rooms and big meeting spaces, we can set up some socially distanced watch parties. And at our school sites, teachers can watch in their classrooms or wherever we can socially distance, sit and enjoy. And it's part of the workday, but it is not something that we take attendance to. So otherwise, we do say that please attend. This is part of the workday. Just like when we had it in person at Shadow Mountain in the past, there was no attendance or penalization. We just, on your honor, hope that everybody shows up and enjoys. But our keynote speaker is former San Diego Charger, and he is the founder and pastor of the Rock Church. His name is Miles McPherson. And he's going to give a secular message on happy kids and healthy relationships on a path to gainful employment, career development, and some of the work that he's seen with World of Work. And he's an expert on unifying our unity and hope. And so his message on how do we unify a racially divided nation, I think given all the things that have happened in the last several months, will be very timely as we look at welcoming kids back to an environment where we hope that all kids feel physically and emotionally safe and valued. So I hope to see you all there. We're going to keep the program short because I think an in-person program, we can get away with an hour and a half. We don't plan to use the full time. We want to have a short Zoom meeting and then give Miles most of the time so he can engage. He's so much fun to watch and listen to. And then we'll start our work and reconnect with everybody. Okay. Mark, any final words before we say goodbye? It's 45 minutes and not going to hold anybody else hostage.
No, I mean, we're doing a good job. Everybody's staying safe. We've completed our MOU for returning back to work. We're waiting for it to go through our process, and all I can say is keep practicing safe procedures.
Words to live by.
Yep. Great to see everybody. Thank you for all you're doing. You are the district, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank
You are
you.
the district. Heroes work here.
Heroes work for sure. Absolutely. Yep.
Thanks, everybody. We'll check in again real soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.